Right when we thought that we were done covering the WWDC leaks, even more leaks have emerged, to the point where we now have specific details about the Macs that are going to be unveiled at WWDC. Yes, Macs, plural. And we also have more details about Apple's headset, including some very promising teases by Apple and also other people in the VR community. Starting off with the new Macs, the only new Macs that we were expecting to see at WWDC was that 15-inch MacBook Air. But according to Mark Gurman, Apple would be unveiling several new Macs. Now, this is very interesting, because unless Apple launches the new Mac Pro, there's nothing really that they could update, right? As the M3 chip won't be launching until the end of the year, and the Mac Studio won't be updated until the new Mac Pro comes out. Well, according to another tweet by Mark Gurman, Apple will start accepting trade-ins of the Mac Studio, the 13-inch M2 MacBook Air, and the 13-inch M2 MacBook Pro on June the 5th, the same day as WWDC. Now, this is very interesting because it could mean that we could see updated versions of these Macs at WWDC. And we could also potentially see that M3 chip being announced much earlier than expected, which would clash with all the rumors regarding that 15-inch MacBook Air having the M2 and not the M3. Speaking of Macs, this right here is the best Mac mouse that you can get. It is a Logitech MX Master 3S for Mac. It's got support for macOS gestures, customizable buttons, and it is incredibly comfortable. We're all using it here at the office, and Best Buy is having a 20% sale right now on any accessory plus hardware. Simply use the link below to check it out and also support the channel while doing so. Next up, according to Mark Gurman, Apple is actually testing 2 new desktop Macs that would be unveiled at WWDC. These are codenamed Mac 14.13 and 14.14. One of these machines features the M2 Max chip, while the other features the unannounced M2 Ultra. Yes, we're gonna see an M2 Ultra chip at WWDC, which should mean that we're also getting the new Mac Pro, finally. Well, not necessarily, as the model number for the new Mac Pro is actually 14.8, so whatever these 2 new desktop Macs are, they would not be the Mac Pro. Therefore, it is quite likely that the M2 Ultra Mac will be an updated version of the Mac Studio. And since the rumors were saying that the Mac Studio will only get the M2 Ultra after the Mac Pro, it could be that Apple simply canceled the Mac Pro altogether. After all, it doesn't make sense for a Mac Pro to exist in an Apple Silicon era. I've said this multiple times across multiple videos over the years, the fact that Apple has lost all upgradability due to Apple Silicon. And really, the only advantage of getting Mac Pro over Mac Studio would be the better cooling system and the extra ports. But other than that, the Mac Studio is dozens of times smaller and more portable while still having the same chip. The Mac Pro is likely dead if Apple does announce the M2 Ultra Mac Studio. As for which new desktop Mac would feature the M2 Max chip, this remains a mystery. Of course, the most likely option would be the M2 Max variant of the Mac Studio, as Apple has actually featured different model identifiers with the original Mac Studio. 13.1 for the Max model and 13.2 for the Ultra, mostly because the Ultra did have a couple of other changes, including dual Thunderbolt ports on the front as opposed to just regular USB-C ports. Okay, the third WWDC update is that Apple has been teasing the upcoming headset quite heavily. First, they tweeted this: "A new era begins. Join us for WWDC 23. Now, that is a very bold claim, clearly indicating that something big is coming that would kickstart a new era for Apple. Second, in that tweet, they showed this very interesting animation of the Apple logo. The animation doesn't seem to show much aside from a heart shape at the beginning, and the blobs that seem to move around forming the Apple logo. The interesting thing about it is that if you go to Apple's website from your iPhone, you'll actually be able to go into this AR mode and overlay this animation onto what the iPhone's camera can see. Now, they have done this type of AR hype before, but what is unique about this here is that it is fully transparent. And if you look inside, you can see the WWDC date. I don't know about you guys, but this to me looks exactly like the type of interface that we've seen on some AR glasses. This semi-transparent window that allows you to still see the real world behind it, but shows you some important information overlaid. Another interesting update is that a lot of the VR industry's specialists have been teasing Apple's headset. For example, Sean Murray, the CEO of Hello Games, the developer of No Man's Sky, tweeted two apples, one green and one red. No Man's Sky was announced for the Mac back at WWDC 2022, so last year, but it still hasn't been announced. This could be a tease towards it finally launching, and it could also be a tease towards it launching for the VR headset too. Oh, and just as I was scripting this video, Sean Murray tweeted the full reveal of No Man's Sky for the Mac, which is now out. So you can go on Steam and download the Mac version, which has full crossplay and cross-save, alongside a number of improvements, including Apple Silicon support, Metal FX upscaling, and much more. We would likely be seeing more about it at WWDC, with potentially a headset version of it too, as Sean Murray has tweeted that another surprise will be coming in the very near future. Then Yaroslav Beck, the co-founder of Beat Saber, tweeted that June the 5th is going to be popcorn and glasses. It's very likely that he's seen the headset, he knows what it's capable of, and that Beat Saber, which is probably the most recognizable VR game at this point, will also launch on Apple's headset. Although it might be a bit weird playing games without an actual controller. As some of you might know by now, Apple's headset is not set to include any physical controller at all, and purely rely on gestures instead. On top of all of this, we have a lot of new headset details. The information reports that a headset features an unconventional curved design that is ultra thin and ultra light. Ian Zelbo used all of this information to make an updated version of his concept, which is so far the most accurate one to date. We made our concept a few months ago, so we don't have these most up-to-date leaks in it, but I do think ours was also quite close. Speaking of the leaks, according to the information's report, the aluminum frame of the headset is only slightly thicker than an iPhone's frame, and that Apple had to develop a one-of-a-kind bent motherboard that would fit inside the headset's curved aluminum shell. Not only that, but apparently they used carbon fiber inside the headset to reinforce the structure whilst also keeping it lightweight. Man, this is gonna be a truly impressive piece of engineering. Apparently, Apple also added a small dial above the right eye to allow users to transition between AR and VR, with the power button being located above the left eye. Then a round connector similar to an Apple Watch charger would attach to the left side temple and connect to that external waist-mounted battery. The headband is said to be made out of a soft material attached to two hard pieces that also contain built-in speakers. And just as we've seen rumored a while ago, the information confirms that you will be able to buy prescription lenses from Apple, if you wear glasses, that would then magnetically clip into the headset. But I think that the most impressive update comes from Russ Young, who gave us all the display details. And apparently the displays will be micro OLED, which is a new technology different from micro LED, where the pixels are of an OLED display, but they're put directly on a silicon wafer, allowing them to be incredibly small and therefore have an insane pixel density. How small, you might ask? Well, some rumors were saying that Apple's headset would have a 4K display, but it wasn't clear if this would be, 4K in total, or 4K per eye, which would of course be insane. And according to Russ Young, it will actually be 4K per eye, which is very impressive. And that's because if you take a look at Meta's most advanced headset right now, the Quest Pro, that one has a resolution of 1920 by 1800 per eye, meaning that Apple's headset would be 2.44 times sharper per eye, making it potentially retina quality. Not only that, but the brightness of these displays is said to be higher than 5,000 nits. As an example, the Quest 2 has a brightness of 100 nits max, while the PSVR 2 has 265, which would make Apple's headset the brightest headset on the market by 20 to 50 times compared to the competition, which means that the HDR content would look lifelike and the AR interactions would look incredibly realistic. Also, according to Mark Gurman, this WWDC will be one of Apple's longest keynotes ever, and that it will likely exceed 2 hours. Which means that yes, we are going to get all the software updates. iOS 17, iPadOS 17, macOS 14, watchOS 10, alongside some big hardware updates, the new Mac Studio, the 15-inch MacBook Air, and of course, the Apple RealityPro Headset. We will be doing a live stream on Monday during WWDC, so if you want to watch it with us and also chat with myself and my team in real time, then definitely do set a reminder in your calendar, and yeah, we'll see each other then. In the meantime, feel free to check out our iOS 17 What to Expect video. I'm Daniel, it's been ZONEofTECH, and I'll see you guys in the next one. ZONEofTECH signing out. Cheers.